You are watching All Things Real Estate and More with Ann-Riley Caldwell, with a brand new episode on types of ownership and deeds.
Hey, I'm Ann-Riley Caldwell. I'm a local Nashville, Middle Tennessee Realtor, and I'm here today with Anna Rowland from Signature Title, talking about all different kinds of things related to title and closings and insurance. And so we're going to cover a couple of things. There's a few different ways that you can own property, particularly obviously with other people. Mm-hmm. When you own it by yourself, you're just a sole owner, and that makes it really easy because everything's just you signing documents and you making decisions.
Correct.
When you start to involve other people in the process, then it starts to get a little bit more detail oriented, I suppose, and decisions have to be made because you can own things with different types of ownership. We have phrases like tenants by the entireties. We have phrases, the other one is tenants in common.
Yeah. Sure, yeah.
And so there are some differences. So again, we're going to kind of touch on those things without going into a ton of detail. But when you do have two people, if they're not married, let's start there first. Mm-hmm. You can basically have tenants in common.
Correct. Yes.
So what's a quick overview of a tenant in common?
Yeah, so basically you and I could own a piece of property as tenants in common. Mm-hmm. And it's essentially like a 50-50 ownership unless noted otherwise. So both of us would have to sign to sell that property. We're just kind of like partners in that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then if you are married, that can also be a tenants in common. And then what most people do is a rights of survivorship, meaning if one were to pass, the full ownership goes to the other person that has rights of survivorship.
Yeah. And rights of survivorship is an important question, particularly when you get into maybe second marriages or you know, you have kids from other situations. Because right of survivorship basically means that if you're married, the first spouse passes away, it automatically goes to the second spouse, correct?
Mm-hmm, correct.
And then nobody else can claim any piece of that property at that point in time.
Sure.
If you don't have a right of survivorship, then at that point, each party can dictate where their part goes.
Correct.
So therefore, you could end up with, you have two original owners, one owner dies, this owner stays an owner, but then this person could potentially leave their shares, their half or whatever it is that they own to someone else, and then all of a sudden this person has a lot of other owners attached to this property.
It can get confusing for sure. Yeah.
So then it makes it more difficult because you have more people that have to decide when to sell the property or not sell the property. They can each do whatever they want to with their piece of the property. So all of a sudden you get a very convoluted situation if you're not careful.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So on a side note, also one of the things obviously we put in the contract is what names do you want on the deed?
Sure.
And then we can always amend that and change it.
Sure.
As realtors, we try not to specify what that type of ownership is going to be, but just whose names. Now, sometimes we get in situations where a lender, maybe only one party is borrowing the money,
right?
But they may be married or may just have another family member or someone that they want to put on title.
Sure.
So that's another question we have to delve into, right? Because sometimes lenders don't want extra names on a title.
Yeah, and that's probably more so just for a liability standpoint. If they put, we will have people who they want to put their daughter, but the daughter's not on the loan. They still make them sign a decent amount of loan documentation that essentially protects them in the event that they were to go into foreclosure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, if anybody wants to do that, that's the thing that we need to talk to the lender, we need to talk to the title company, we need to talk to attorneys, we need to really dig into that situation so that people understand what all that means.
Exactly.
Both in the moment as well as if they go to sell the property in the future.
Exactly.
Because sometimes people don't, we have a tendency to think about right now I want this,
yes,
but then we don't think about how does that
change.
play out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So anyway, so when we get to those things, those are things that we really want to make sure that everybody talks to the right people about. And then the other thing is types of deeds. We have different ways that people can take title. So most people get a warranty deed, I would say, for the majority of situations.
Yeah, general warranty deed is going to be the best and most basic way to do it. That's what we typically do. I would say 99% of the time. Yeah. There are circumstances where a quitclaim deed, and that's Quit. I have people all the time who call it quick, or some people will call and say, I need a quick deed.
I know. Can you do it real quick?
Hey, I get it. Yeah, I'm like, I can do it very quickly. But yeah, a quitclaim deed is something that is typically handled outside of an actual transaction. So a lot of times people will want to add on, they get married or get divorced and they want to take someone off, add a child, something like that. So that's something that we can handle in a transaction or outside of a transaction, even if you're not actually buying or selling.
Yeah. So basically that's where one person or more than one person owns a piece of property, and then after you buy it, and it's usually where I see it is after the fact, after you buy it, you want to change the ownership of the property, and as long as there's no lender complications or anything like that, you have a right to do that. So that kind of wraps up that little conversation about types of ownership and deeds and things like that. And so if you have questions about those things, reach out to us and we'll kind of go from there.
Absolutely.
All right.
We hope you enjoyed watching All Things Real Estate and More with Ann-Riley Caldwell. To learn more about Ann-Riley, or for your real estate needs, visit notyourordinaryagent.com or call 615-930-0313. Thanks for watching.